Hello and welcome. You're watching Livestream, the one show where we want to listen into your voice. And this evening, we're looking at what is bothering you, Mumbai. This has been a day where Mumbai has seen streets full of water, bridges are collapsing. Many are wondering and asking quite openly if this is yet another example of maximum cities, minimum infrastructure. Just what is going on? Rail traffic has, of course, taken a massive hit after a section of this bridge at Andheri, one of Mumbai's busiest rail lines, caved in. Following heavy rain in the city, the collapse of the Gokhale Bridge left 5 people injured. The damage could, of course, have been far worse since at least 3 jam-packed suburban trains had passed by seconds before the bridge caved in on the railway tracks. This is according to news agency INS. The bridge running east to west over the Andheri station collapsed during peak hours, paralysing the suburban and long-distance train services on the Western Railway. Now, the Rail Minister has said the bridge was 40 years old and had, as he put it, a few design flaws. The incident now shocking, given as it does, coming just 9 months after the Elphinstone Road foot-over bridge crashed following a stampede that left 23 people dead. Heavy rain delayed flights today, and schools and colleges in several parts of the city declared a holiday. Students couldn't make it to exams, and Mumbai's famous tiffin carriers or dabbawalas also said that they've been unable to operate as the train services were stopped in that part of the city. Now, the last bit, of course, is an annual issue with Mumbai. Rain misery of the city, the rain nightmare is known, it's documented, and asking why the city seems to be stuck and stranded year after year. I can't go to where is Imtiaz? Where are the reporters? Right, let's now go across we're going across to our reporters in just a bit, but before that, let's now go across to our other guest this evening. Bachi Kakaria, senior journalist, is joining us from Mumbai. Bachi, before I get into my other colleagues in, it's been quite a day for Mumbai, but these days like this are getting more and more frequent. I mean, to all those saying maximum city, minimum facilities, minimum infrastructure, what would you say?
Natasha, you've absolutely summed it up, because now this is no longer the exception, it's the rule, and you don't even have to wait for a really bad rain day for the people of Mumbai to be treated like cattle and have to suffer like as if they live in some third world corner of some urban nightmare. Because it's like every day. I mean, look at this Gokhale Road collapse. Gokhale Bridge collapse. It has happened just 9 months after the Elphinstone Road bridge collapse, Elphinstone Station railway collapse. And they said that an audit had been taken immediately after that. Now, 8 months after an audit is taken, should a bridge collapse? I mean, I ask you, who's minding this store is my question. I mean, if you just walk on the streets of Mumbai, forget about rains, forget about monsoons, walking on the street is a hazard. Mumbai, walking, a pedestrian seems to live on the most dangerous place on earth, because everything is gone for a 6. There's double parking, there's no sense of pedestrian safety. Pedestrians have no sense of their own safety at many times, because they're all walking with their heads into their mobile phones, and the traffic is a total mess. I don't know what the BMC is doing. I don't know what the traffic police is doing. You just go on any road and you will see the amount of encroachments that are there. Every single road has a new encroachment every time you pass it, even if you pass it every day. So who is looking after anything? Who is doing surveillance? Who is doing vigilance? Who is doing their job?
Okay, who is doing their job? That is big question. And other guest, Bachi, just stay with us there. Joining us this evening is actor Chitrasi Rawat. Chitrasi, thanks for your time. Now, we've seen just a lot of anger there. Bachi voicing some of it, but others like Farhan Akhtar have come out and said just what is going on. Why does the city tend to stall and stutter and every time something like this happens? And the bridge collapse, I mean, just 9 months after a major tragedy that we've seen, believe that people are now, it's time that people take things into their own hands, demand more accountability?
Absolutely. I think absolutely, you're absolutely right, Natasha. I think that as the citizens of, as a being Mumbaikar, I think we should really take all these things under consideration. And I think enough of the blame game. I think we citizens also needs to take a little bit of responsibilities what's happening in our city, because every year, every monsoon, I think we also have just gotten used to it. I think it's about time that we should not get used to it. We as a citizens, we Mumbaikars, we are like, okay, every monsoon, okay, we know the traffic will be there, okay, we know we will get late, so I think we also need to start talking, and everything is in front of us. 8 months back they audited, and then this happens. I think this should not be a surprise. We should really talk about it, and I think everyone, like, we can't just take everything for granted.
Okay.
I think it's about time that we as Mumbaikars, we should really talk about it, and I should keep this outside, and we should really think about it and why it's happening every single time.
Okay. I'm just going to take that to Bachi in just a bit, but before that, we have our first caller this evening. This is Sajid from Mumbai. Sajid, thanks for your time. You want to make a point?
Yes. Good evening, and thank you very much for raising this point. My first thing is, has all the bridges been audited? Like the BMC, they say they are doing the audit. Secondly, like the BMC and the government is having a vigilance team for all the all the plastics and everything, whether we have a same vigilance teams like that for the potholes and the bridges. And as the madam has said that the audit has been done at least around 8 months back, who are we going to hold responsible for it?
Absolutely.
Is there an accountability from the audit department? Will there be a penalty for them, or a fine or a punishment for them giving a wrong audit?
That's a good point. I mean, and it keeps coming back to that, just who is accountable, because usually after something like this, we see that everyone's parked the buck. It's happened 9 months ago. There was meant to be, you're right, absolutely right, Sajid, there was meant to be that safety audit. Just what is going on. Again, today we've seen a comment by the railway minister saying over 400 bridges are now going to be looked at closely. I'm going to get into that in just a bit, but both Imtiaz and Saurabh, my colleagues joining me from Mumbai this evening. Imtiaz, it's been quite a day, and there is no silver lining immediately, because the Met Department is saying that there's more rain in store. So what really is the plan?
Well, while the authorities shifting blame for the crumbling infrastructure of Mumbai, we are here at Andheri station, just near where the foot over bridge collapsed this morning. Let's just hear it from Mumbaikars what they think about this whole Mumbai, crumbling infrastructure crumbling situation. तो आप क्या बोलते हो? मुंबई में ऐसा हो रहा है, एक के बाद एक हादसे होते जा रहे हैं, और अथॉरिटीज जो है उस पर ब्लेम मतलब अपना झाड़ रही है, पल्ला झाड़। क्या बोलना चाहिए? मैं सिर्फ इतना कहना चाहता हूँ कि बीएमसी को होना चाहिए इसके बारे में, और टाइम टू टाइम जो हमारे ब्रिजेस है, हमारे रोड्स है, उसके ऊपर ध्यान देना चाहिए। तो अभी आप सर आप क्या बोलोगे? मैं भी यही बोलूंगा कि जो भी पुरानी चीजें हैं, ब्रिज है या तमाम चीजें जो बीएमसी के अंडर में आते हैं, हादसे हो रहे हैं, उस पे बीएमसी को थोड़ा स्ट्रिक्ट होके और उसकी मरम्मत कराएं, और तमाम चीजों पे विशेष ध्यान दिया जाए। तो आज की जो सिचुएशन है उसमें तो रेलवे बोलती है हमारा नहीं है और बीएमसी हमारा है, इस तरह का अथॉरिटी करना चाहते हैं। अगर ऐसी अपनी जिम्मेदारी से रेलवे या बीएमसी भागेगी तो हमारा सिचुएशन यही रह जाएगा, इसलिए उन्हें अपनी जिम्मेदारी को विशेष तरह से निभाना चाहिए। अब जो ट्रेन जिस तरह से ट्रेन बंद होगी उससे आपको कोई फर्क नहीं आता है? मेरे पर्सनली से भी फर्क पड़ा है, और मुंबई में अगर देखा जाए वेस्टर्न लाइन अगर बंद हुआ तो कम से कम हजारों कंपनियां का काम रुका, उससे शेयर बाजार डाउन हुआ, तमाम चीजें उस पर फर्क पड़ा। मुंबई के ऊपर बहुत ही फर्क पड़ा। सर आप क्या बोलोगे? बहुत ही
ये जो है वेस्टर्न लाइन जो मुंबई की जान मानी जाती है, अगर इस तरह से क्या दुबई ये जो हादसा हुआ है जिसकी वजह से काफी लोगों का नुकसान हुआ है, अगर ये टाइम टू टाइम बीएमसी और जो भी ऑथराइज्ड पर्सन है पूरा टाइम टू टाइम मेंटेन करके रखेंगे तो इससे हादसे होने से पहले प्रॉपर होगी।
Okay. So many rush of commuters are stranded here at Mumbai in Andheri. Over to you.
Thanks for joining us there. Andheri, of course, where that bridge has collapsed. Saurabh, you're also with us. Before I take this back to Bachi and Tarasi, bring us in what people are saying, because there is, of course, a fair amount of anger and understandable frustration at just what's going on. And it's not just Mumbai story. This is yet another case of India's crumbling cities and infrastructure.
Well, absolutely right. And in fact, if you remember a few years ago when the Elphinstone flyover was closed, this was a few years ago, there was an audit announced on all the old bridges. Several bridges were found to be weak. Several bridges were, recommended to be brought down, and some bridges were actually brought down and new ones built, or those bridges were reinforced. Now, most of these bridges, many of them have been built many, many years ago, and they need constant attention in terms of repair and maintenance. And most of these railway bridges that came up many years ago are something that needs to be looked at every monsoon very carefully. That happened this time. Well, we're told there was an audit, but what happened to that? That's something that obviously will be looked after this bridge collapse. But why couldn't it have been done before that? Perhaps we're at Churchgate Station. The Western Railway says that they will be able to resume services on the fast line from 8 p.m. this evening. And that's, of course, a good thing given the fact that they've managed to reopen, or will be managed to open services from Churchgate to Borivali Virar, at least on the fast line. But then an entire day lost for Mumbai, because this is not a one-time event. This happens year after year, monsoon after monsoon. The railways never seem to be getting out of the problem of waterlogging, just like the BMC hasn't been able to in areas. But obviously, like I was saying, the infrastructure in Mumbai can't be in the hands of multiple agencies, which each agency passing the buck. That's something that perhaps now Mumbai needs to consider.